the thought of people are watching. Like girls look at me. Like when I had my show, a couple of the girls told me they was like, I've been watching you since I was a kid. So I was like, dang, since you was a kid. I mean, I influenced you to. Did I influence you to be a stripper? Because I never
Oh.
wanted it to be it. You know, I just was living my life. I never wanted to influence nobody to get no ass or be no stripper. That was just my
Your
path.
path.
Because I know I got a daughter, and I don't want to be a bad influence on any of the women.
Yeah.
You know.
Think about all the women you will be given permission to find their way and to become who they are ready to become in their next chapter. But what I think is so important is that you give yourself permission to choose you without having to seek the approval of others.
As long as the women are free to do what they want to do, you can forget about us becoming socially segregated. It's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to create and maintain the order in which people are going to align together and work together and feel obligated to focus on being with each other, because the women are going for self. And if the women are going for self, then it's just whatever the best deal they think they can get at whatever they got going on in life and whatever they're doing and whatever opportunities that are made available to them.
All right. Today is September 5th, 2025. And I had to trash. I decided to put one of my commentaries in the wood chipper and shit, based on circumstances and the fact that I am an empathetic human being and shit, even towards misandrous women and shit. The women making shitty choices in life and shit. I had to preface this by letting you all know that I consider myself a misogynist anarchist and shit. Alright, and specifically, more importantly, in my own supposed ethnic community and shit, which I am completely insolvent and non-select and shit by some people's standards. Okay? Oh man, it's crazy. I had to put that shit out, for all the assholes that's gonna try to data mine me for some kind of negative, you know, content and shit. They think they're gonna use at a later date and shit. So, me putting this out, this disclaimer and shit, which is rare, given that, I just put up the regular shit. I decided to make another commentary to replace the one that I just, I made this morning, right? And that one's about a teacher babe, but, I looked at the circumstances behind it. I decided not to put the commentary out to be a responsible adult and elder statesman of the supposed ethnic community and shit, as I am 56 years of age and a straight black man, right? So instead, I'm gonna be on this whole tip about who is the first teacher of the child and shit, in line with the commentary, the teacher bait commentary that I trashed, okay? That I will not post. Alright, let's talk about Jessica Dime. Right? She's a Memphis rapper and a reality TV star. Shit, gonna be the glory. Recently, she had said that it was never an intention to influence young women to strip and sell their ass and shit, basically. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. And I want to say, like, hey, no apologies necessary and shit. Whether you intended to do that or not, you did. Alright? And you're not the only one. You don't have to take responsibility for that solely. Alright? It's admirable that she would say something like that and shit, considering the sisterhood. Right? What that could mean and shit. Or maybe she's used up all her, I don't know, her Tinder, and all her clout. I don't know. I never watched her on shit. And I just looked at one of her videos. She did this follow up on Crunk Ain't Dead and shit. She did her own remix of that and whatever. It was shitty. It was tone deaf. It was off key and shit. But she is a Memphis area rapper and shit. And I want to say that and I hate to say this and shit. Anyone can buy a motherfucking cell phone these days, a motherfucking iPhone, and put some shit online and shit in our community, which has been dumbed down for the last 40 plus years. And I say that, they've been doing it since the end of chattel slavery, but it's been very acute since they killed off all our leaders of our community, the legitimate leaders or the half legitimate leaders, and left us with, people that didn't have our best interest at heart. All right. So flash forward today. I'm gonna say since the '80s or whatnot, the mid '80s, when a lot of this shit started going mainstream, this bad behavior from these women started going mainstream. Uh, Today, what we have is what I like to term the dregs of humanity. You know, being financed and shit, and put out there, multiple social media outlets to spread garbage all over the place and influence children and shit. You know, influence children whether they intend to do that or not. A lot of them they are in the know that they're fucking up. Okay, they're doing shit. We live in a different era now. Shit, it's one of the reasons that a deluge of men are getting the fuck out of climbing over the fence or just going celibate and shit, or doing other things and shit. I endorse all of those things as long as they are, conducive to the man living as healthy a lifestyle as humanly possible. Right? Jessica Dime is a rank and file, you know, influencer, I guess. I can't call her a celebrity. I never heard of her fucking ass before. I get around. I never heard of this woman before. They all look alike. All right, they all look alike across the board. I am tired of this obsession that a lot of you, I'm just localized at this time. A lot of you Southern women have with piles of money, all right, piles of cash. There's a difference between being rich and nigger rich, okay? And I know about poverty. My, my mom's side, they grew up in extreme poverty. I've seen people in extreme poverty. I've been in the deep South, right? I've seen people living in places where they don't have sidewalks. They have open ditches. And it's a smell you can't imagine, but you get used to after about 3 days. Okay, I've been in a house, they didn't there weren't walls in there. They had quilts up and shit to separate where people lived and shit. Alright, this is in the fucking 80s, okay? I've seen poverty up its ass. Alright? And I'm gonna say a very small percentage of my peers, were they excelled at school. Right? They excelled at athletics and shit, They excelled at business and shit. Because they knew what it was like living in that kind of poverty. They didn't want to go back there and shit. And some of them just did it casually and shit, okay? And they had thick accents and all that bullshit, And they didn't do it. And the rest of y'all was, your contemporaries. Y'all didn't want to try. Y'all didn't want to do shit with y'allself and shit except hang out and fuck around, be a dregs of humanity, walking, social experiments. Okay? I don't get it. You motherfuckers always in these videos with piles and piles of cash and shit. And, I reminded there used to be a show on Comedy Central called Tosh something. There was this kind of annoying Caucasian comedian, and they had this comedy sketch I can't post because shit belongs to Viacom, where there was a regular white guy in his 20s, and there was a black rapper with the chain and the pimp cup and tons of cash, and they had a face off and shit, and the rapper was like saying shit like, look at all this I got, and I got the hoes, and I got this and that, and then a white guy pulled out a laptop and said that he had like several IRA accounts and shit, and he invested his money in stocks and shit, and stuff that he had, and he asked the guy like, hey, what are you gonna do with all that money and shit? And the guy's like, I'm living a good life and blah, blah, blah. Obviously this guy's probably kind of racist and shit, but it made a point and shit. There's no generational wealth and shit. You generate tons of cash, you don't do nothing with it. And then you are telling women to, do your actions and shit, intentionally or not. You're negatively influencing future generations of women and shit. And there's no oversight because the women that's above you in my age group, they're competing with you. They're doing the same shit you're doing and shit, and they don't have no fucking plan. They just want some money and shit. They want piles of money and buy shit and stuff. What the fuck are you doing with that money? How are you recycling that money? You say you're a business owner, but 9 times out of 10, it's a fucking some kind of self-serving business within your own demographic and shit, like beauty or some crap like that and shit. And what does that sustain? You know, how's that give back to the community? I don't care if you buy some kids some T-shirts and, you know, a couple of books and shit in a book bag and, you know, maybe a laptop or two of shit. It does not self-sustaining. You're not building up your motherfucking community. So therefore, you are not more intelligent than the other half of the line and shit. Okay, this ain't a piss. You know, this ain't a pissing contest in our community and shit. It's a clarion call. All right. Now talk about this woman and shit. She's just a metaphor for a deeper problem and shit. Yeah. What are you gonna do with all the cash? I'm asking these women and shit. They got these tons of cash. I don't care if you're a hoe or a housewife or whatever, you know. You got all these businesses and shit. How is that helping and shit? How does the money being recycled in the community and shit? You go online and you buy all this shit from overseas or, you know, people that don't even cater to you and their own commercials and shit because you want to fit in. You want to look the part. You want to be fake rich. You want to be nigga rich and shit, but you don't want to be rich for real. You don't want to have any sustainable, you know, income and shit over generations. And you don't train your children how to manage their money and shit. You can't because you don't fucking know. Right? And then on top of that, you tell them that it's okay to do anything to get paid. Right? To get the bag, whatever the fuck they call it these days. Right? Now what's the fuck? When does it end? When is this shit gonna get played out? Alright? Jessica Dime says she never meant to influence women negatively and shit. And, you know, maybe she feels that way. You know? I can't say what a bitch feels. But you did it anyway. And you're not alone and shit. So you don't have to carry that L. You could just go get some therapy if you feel that way. You don't have to put that shit out for public consumption. You have no fucking discretion. Just take your bunches of money and your BBL and fuck off, you know? You know, skip up the road and get the fuck on. We don't need to see this or hear this and shit. You have a guilty conscience, you can work that out with a therapist, an accredited therapist, not someone that supports your negative worldview. Okay? I mean, fuck. I'm tired of seeing a lot of. I can't follow the rap game. You know, the shit done died off of me. I'm in my 50s. I'm 56 and shit. So that logically, the shit that died off of me. But, you know, it's not like I'm going to start listening to, you know, Lawrence Welk or old people shit, you know, currently. And I can't get into this new shit because you guys ain't talking about a goddamn thing. And you know, sold off everything and shit. And you do anything for the dollar and shit. You even compromise yourself physically. You know, I can't say morally. You're empty vessels and shit that's, you know, outside interests that can pour into to fuck up the community as a whole and shit. So what are you really doing that for the community? Not a goddamn thing and shit. Your apology rings false and hollow. Alright? Then you need to figure out who you are. Besides a pink wig and a fake ass. Okay? A fake ass. I mean, you know how many times I've seen a BBL and shit since the late 90s or so? How many times I see it? This shit just is like, I just look at it and see, like, oh, well, how they sculpt that one and shit, you know? And I don't want to get into it. It's not that kind of video, even though it is, you know, September 5th, 2025 and shit, and it is a Bust Down Friday. So here you are. Alright? Take a bow. Okay. That clip was courtesy of the Shade Room, and I don't know who the woman is that was interviewing Jessica Dime, but I want to say that I wish you would stop telling fucked up women that line of bullshit about how, you know, you are influencing them. You know, tell them what they want to hear, basically. You know, that bullshit. Just think about all the women who you will be. No, don't start that shit off. Tell them they fucked up. Okay? She fucked up. Alright? Tell her she fucked up. We need to start telling y'all that shit, man, because y'all don't have no quote unquote accountability and shit for anything you fucking do. You always want somebody to pat you on the back after you made a fucked up decision and destroyed everything and shit because you have the sacred duty of being the first teachers of the child and shit, able to create life in your womb and shit with our help, of course. You always want to fucking pass this shit. You know, you guys discounted everything for a bag, okay, and for feeling good feelings, and you know, going out and acting like a child and have no fucking responsibilities outside of your own personal interests and shit, and having people big up you and shit, even though you know they didn't have your best interest at heart when they came around you and shit. You guys didn't have no fucking loyalty whatsoever and shit. You fucked up. You made decisions. So you need to take your motherfucking L. Okay? It's wintertime. And mostly it's wintertime because of your own fucked up behaviors. Everything I just said right now, y'all fucked with that president-elect and shit when he was coming around talking to y'all and shit. Instead of just talk to him straight up, ask him some straight up questions. The commander in chief, Donald Trump, formerly known as 45. Now he's 47. He came and asked you motherfuckers. He came to the black journalist convention to talk to them motherfuckers, and they showed their ass and shit. Didn't think there would be blowback on a guy that takes everything personal and shit. And now you're a fucking winner, shit. 300,000, jobs lost, mostly black women and shit. They had, these were like backdoor set asides and shit that ace us out of the deal and shit. Y'all was cool with it as long as everything benefits you and shit. Then when you hit the wall and fuck your shit up, you want somebody to come be your emotional tampon and make you feel good. I'ma tell Jessica Dime you fucked up and shit. If you want to take responsibility, then take your motherfucking L. Eat that bitch like we do and shit. Every time we had to, take it on the chin in this situation, you call the fucking America. 3Ks and said shit. It's your shit. Alright? And that woman that's telling you shit, she don't give a fuck. She just saying that because she don't know what else to say and shit. She don't know what else to say. That shit she telling you ain't about nothing. You ain't helping nobody on the front end or the back end and shit. And just talking about it is problematic and unnecessary. Okay? You're a fuck up. Okay? You're a drag of humanity. Okay? Like I can say the same shit. I've made a bunch of fucking mistakes. You don't hear me talking about it. I use it as a cautionary tale to tell people don't follow in my footsteps. The reason it's different when I say it is I'm not doing any kind of criminal actions or reinforcing any negative stereotypes. I'm just speaking from life experience and shit. You ain't doing that shit, okay? Now you doing it out of your own self-interest to make yourself feel better. You knew you was doing wrong when you was doing it and shit. And now you want somebody to come on here and make your fucking ass feel better and shit. And you talking to Shade Roll, which is owned and run and operated by fucking tellers and shit who don't care about your ass either. Nobody gives a fuck. Go get a therapist, bitch. Get your motherfucking ass a therapist and shit. And stop fucking around and shit. Or just do your business. Okay? No matter what. No matter how ignorant you are, how stupid you are, how reckless you are, how dangerous you are to yourself and others and shit, they just gonna lie to you. And you ain't never gonna fucking change and shit, okay? And it's okay. Nobody expects you anything of you. Okay? You've already shown us what we should think of you. Okay? Alright, just get over yourself. Okay, get over it. Okay, take your piles of money and I don't know, do what you do. Okay? And stop listening to them goddamn tellers and stop listening to the minority majority and shit. Okay, stop furthering the negative effects of COINTELPRO on our supposed ethnic community and shit. It's not gonna get better and shit. Okay, y'all probably had some kids already and all that shit. A lot of you motherfuckers had kids and done raise your kids fucked up, so they ain't helping nothing. Okay? Ain't nothing gonna get better. Alright? I'm not even being negative. I'm being straight up positive and clinical about it. Okay? The only thing that we can do is to get on our side of the gender line is to get people to stop fucking with y'all like that shit and to play safe and to treat you like how we treat police or gangbangers, other dangerous people and shit, that surround us and shit. You have to side eye you. You're not making it harder. You're making it easier to ignore you, to marginalize your fucking ass and shit. Don't nobody want to be living looking over their goddamn shoulder. Don't nobody want to take a chance having you in their motherfucking house. You don't have kids with your motherfucking ass. Look how you live your life. Look what you do. You don't want to take a fucking accountability and shit on a real level and shit. It's called not being online looking for clout and talking to a disinterested tether and shit who's just there because that's her job. She don't care about you. She don't care about any of the women that you two idiots were referring to in your stupid ass Shade Room video. Okay? Just stop fucking around. Okay? Stop fucking around. I want to say more shit, but standards and practices of these platforms prohibit me from doing that shit. Okay? And I think it's in your best interest that somebody like myself who doesn't cut loose on your bitch ass. Okay? And good luck with that. Okay? Go get you some therapy and sit the fuck down. Maybe you can invest some of that goddamn money. Why don't you do something like that? Why don't you try to put that money in some bank accounts to get you some kind of slow yield over time and shit. And I don't know, just keep doing you, okay? Wherever that leads and shit. It got nothing to do with me or anything, but you put this shit out for public consumption on the fucking Shade Room. And I need content, okay? That being said, fuck you. Fuck that lady. You give me the shitty advice who's a tether on a tether run site. There are a lot of you guys supporting shit and finance. You finance your own fucking ignorance and degradation and the destruction of our ethnic community and shit. Okay, if I may be so bold. But it's okay, it's a teachable moment for you, these goddamn kings. And I'm out.
The Black Patriarchy. A non-existent group of fictional black male power brokers not discredited, erroneously jailed or outright killed by the minority majority who look the other way as they work tirelessly to shame, oppress, and outright take out the altruistic black female populace of the honorable democratic United States of America. 3K's inset bitches. These evil wealthy members of the Black Patriarchy are the sole reason for all the ills of the black community, walking, talking, holding down jobs, and doing everything up to and including giving their very lives in service to their baby mamas and baby's motherfucking kids. Their motto that strikes fear into the hearts of black women everywhere: bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.